Welcome back to Shooting Womp Rats. I'm Daniel.
I'm Don.
And welcome to our 25th episode, where we continue to drag and dredge all the internet for all the Star Wars D6 stuff that's fit to burst.
The good stuff and the bad stuff.
Now the news.
Well, this week, guys, Adventure Seed Monday type of mission is going to be medical supplies. The terrain will be swamp, the complications will be an unscrupulous smuggler, and the opposition will be a warlord crime boss with no special hazards. So I see an underworld crime adventure coming out of this. And because it has swamps, who's to say it's not a Nalhutta with the hut?
Oh.
There we go.
I like
the
that.
Character of the week is Anto Marriott, a battle-hardened soldier coming from a military from the planet Bellion. He successfully survived many military campaigns, not only on his home planet, but also off-world in urban environments. Now, as a part of the 61st High Mobility Strikers, Anto is trained in the usage of jetpacks to augment movement around a tight battlefield. This, in turn, we'll talk about this later, but I made a template for this. Also, the Rumor Wednesday, a moth is collecting additional taxes in the sector he has control of for an unknown purpose, obviously nefarious. Maybe he's trying to cover some family gambling debts or something of that nature. This week is the first time in 25 weeks that I do not have a planet for this Thursday.
You finally just worn them all out.
No, I just didn't allow time before the recording before I got it out there. I'll probably get one up this evening yet.
Yeah, that and the fact that the scouts haven't reported back to you yet.
I know they're always complaining about the time home with the family, and I'm just like, get a dog.
My character of the week is R2-D2.
I used to like R2-D2, and then the prequels came along.
It's weird. The droid has only been in service. And they're claiming that it's 32 years before the Battle of Yavin. But that's when he came onto the scene. The interesting fact that I learned about R2 this week is that the actor, Kenny Baker, who played him in the original trilogy, I think he played him in the prequels too, I'm not sure about that, he lives less than 2 miles away from one of our community members on G+, Roger Nichols.
Get together, have a party with the little people. Yeah.
I actually started, because I couldn't find any stats for R2 online, I just put in the stats for a standard R2 unit. That ended up not being right, and I got to give Santiago Torres from the G+ community some credit here. He actually went and found written stats. He found them in the Special Edition Trilogy source book.
I was just going to tell you that's where it's at, so you need to tell them to me. I know all this stuff.
It found out that the stats for the original R2 that I found in, what was it? The Droid source book. I even looked it up on the Holocron. Were way off compared to what they had written down in R2-D2 as the Battle of Endor. I mean, he had insane. He even has 2 giant decks.
Whoosh.
He's a droid with 3 wheels.
Exactly. It's like he falls over in a stiff wind. He can't make tight corners where he falls over.
It was a neat write-up, nonetheless. You can tell that they made him out like an adventurer, where his skills had been upped in between the movies, which I thought was really neat.
The question I had about it is, I'm sitting here going, okay, so they're saying that R2-D2 entered into service 32 years before Battle Yavin.
Yep.
When he gets to Tatooine, all right, in the first movie, New Hope, and they're like selling the droids and stuff like that, and they're like, they pass him up because there's an R5 droid that's in better condition or a better price. How freaking old is the R5 droid?
That is another very good question. I haven't done research into that, but I think that if you follow the droid number scheme that they have going on, that the R5 is a younger model. That didn't come out right at all.
That's quite all right. I thought that the R5 actually was an older model. But I don't know. It's kind of one of those things where I think about these things. It's like, how often are droids updated? But and if they are, how long is their length of service and stuff of that nature? And again, how does the rest of the galaxy look at droids? Do they get regular mind wipes? What type of maintenance do they get and have performed? I don't know. These are things I'm curious about, and I don't remember those things being covered in Cinnabar's Fantastic Technology.
I don't remember seeing them covered that way either.
All right. Did you have a question for me? Or you're like, hey, God.
I was gonna ask you if you were hungry.
Well, I haven't had breakfast yet.
Well, the buffet's open.
Maybe they got some Asian something on the buffet. I'm feeling sort of Asianic. I am. And then when I get done, I'll do better on standardized tests just because I ate the food.
Doug Red 4 from the Rancor Pit proposes a dazed condition where a player that beats a damage roll suffers a -1 die to skill and attributes for the rest of the round. Now, we bring this up because we've had this discussion going about characters who beat out a damage roll in the stunned condition. He listened to last week's episode and proposed that we take a look at his thread about it.
He had said something about if they make it and they don't, then they take a stun, and it's like a -1d to all stats for, I think it's the rest of that round. It does stack with stun, but that's all it does.
That's it.
And I do believe the other thing that he had mentioned was something about if there's a dice difference. I'm sorry, a target number difference. I can't remember what the mechanic was.
+10.
Yeah, and what happened? If you failed the roll by more than 10, then what happened?
You would just oppose the armor bonus. This was provided by Naaman in the discussion. One way you could handle it is this: you could treat the melee weapon's bonus damage as opposing just the armor bonus provided to the target. If the weapon bonus by itself can penetrate the armor by itself, it sounds kind of crunchy, but then the winner can add the bonus from his equipment against the base strength of the loser. In effect, one piece of equipment defeats the other. It sounds like a paper, rock, scissors sort of thing there.
It does sound a little weird. I may have to actually take a look at it again and see what it says and kind of decide how I feel about it. The dazed rule, I like the idea of the dazed rule, but I'm wondering if perhaps that should be the change stun to dazed. I mean, again, I don't know. I think that I don't know if I'd stack them. I do like the idea that if, you're hit but you don't take any damage, you're dazed. And then if it's like 0 to 3 or whatever, then it's a stun. I like those being different, but I think that mechanically, I think they should do the same thing. Offering up a -1d non-cumulative penalty. Just my feelings on it. I mean, but I think it's a good idea, and I think Doug Red, I appreciate it. In fact, I think I want to try that in some playtests in my groups.
I think it would be worth a shot, and if it works out, to really press upon it some more.
Yeah, pressing. I like pressing.
You've given us a new template.
I did. It's called the Light Jump Infantry template. The whole idea is that this would be jump infantry. The way I envisioned it, it would be more of a specialized type of unit used by a small planet or several different planets. Not something that would actually see a great deal of use by the Empire of that, in that sort of capacity. But essentially what it comes down to is it's a professional soldier working for a government, trained to use mostly carbines, grenades, stuff of that nature, and they would have a modified jetpack called the HMS Jetpack. Basically, high mobility system jetpack is what it's for. I guess kind of like the original Starship Troopers, where they had like jump packs and stuff like that. I guess it's more of that nature. The armor is not very heavy because they need to be mobile, but basically they're just special tactical troops used by different planetary governments. I like the idea. In fact, and I have a player of mine in my Thursday night games that we made this template for. And so I like it.
I like it too. It's something different, which is, as always, something needed in a system where nothing new is printed anymore.
Well, the other reason I came up with it was the background for it and personality, that of a professional soldier. Because people go to the standby, they go to the well quite often, like, well, I'm part of a royal guard, or, I used to be part of the Imperial Army, or I used to be part of the army on this planet. Okay, well, that's fine. But there's different things in different armies. Not all armies are the same. Not all armies have the same type of units. Some have specialized units. And so I kind of took that idea and ran with it a little bit. And I think I'm going to expand on that in a later template or two, I think. I'm not 100% sure.
So what would the other template be?
Well, that's really a good question, but I was thinking, they already have like spec forces and stuff like that of that nature, but I was thinking more of like maybe support personnel, like mobile artillery platform people, stuff specifically for different types of vehicle, maybe mobile vehicles, stuff of that nature. There would also be, I was thinking about working on like a slicer team, like a military slicer.
Ooh. And
then, of course, you've got remote piloting or drone piloted, trained individuals, stuff of that nature. I don't know. I hadn't really given it a whole lot of thought. I just been snowballing a little bit.
Okay.
Thunder thinking is what I call it. Thunder thinking. Yeah, I'm not a brainstorming kind of guy. I'm a thunder thinker. So, did you get a chance to take a look at that? I found and kind of cleaned up for the Terentatek.
Yes.
That is a bad creature.
When somebody wants to play a Jedi, I'm using one of these.
Oh my God, he's gonna die. He's just going to fall over and die. It's got a 7D strength for crying out loud.
For those of you unfamiliar with the Terentatek, it originally evolved on Korriban, where the power or the presence of the dark side gradually distorted their shapes and corrupted their minds. Some sources, however, report that this was first created on Yavin 4 by Exar Kun, former Dark Lord of the Sith, as one of his experiments 4,000 years before Yavin, the Battle of Yavin. The hide of a Terentatek is immune to effects of the Force. They have become the most dangerous of the creatures bred by the Sith. They are powerful and dangerous to the Jedi, so they're often dubbed Jedi killers.
Jedi killers.
And Exar Kun used these monsters to destroy Jedi outposts on Tatooine, Kashyyyk, and Tython. The Jedi instituted something called the Great Hunt. They traveled throughout the galaxy to try to exterminate them. And none of these hunts were completely successful. Even though the Jedi seemingly exterminated a majority of the Terentatek each time, the waxing of the dark side inevitably triggers the Terentatek to come out of hibernation and repopulate the galaxy.
When I was looking at the write-up for these, the thing that I thought was kind of interesting is that the creatures feed off the blood of Force sensitives. So that's kind of nasty, icky. Again, they're known to inhabit caves and tombs, and they're strong in the dark side, but they go into hibernation when the dark side is not in its zenith in the galaxy, and then when the dark side actually starts gaining prevalence, when the scales tip, then they start coming out of their hibernation and start, doing bad things. But they're a cool thing. And that was the other thing. They also believe that they originally were rancors because of their size.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. They think that the original stock had been rancors, that the Sith had gone off and, doctored up, genetically spliced, and so on and so forth. Now, I'm not 100% sure how I feel about the stats on it quite yet. It does walk around with a 7D strength. It also has an additional plus 2D plus 1 armor, giving it essentially a 9D plus 1 versus physical attacks and energy attacks, which is pretty crazy, but its teeth and claws do like 90 damage.
Mm-hmm.
It's like crazy. And then the venom I haven't quite figured out because it does 7D crippling damage, and I haven't quite figured out what exactly is crippling damage.
I would say that it affects dice pools. probably directly related to accessing force abilities.
Ooh, I like that. So it messes his midichlorians up?
Yeah.
Alright, just midichlorians don't exist. But no, I mean, I guess the thing is, I mean, crippling damage, I mean, do you think it would be a long term? Do you think it would be a short term? And if it's short term, then I can see it affecting...
It's a predator. I'm pretty sure it's just short term.
Well, okay, if you go short term with it, I could definitely see throwing, like you said, affecting dice pools. And I guess I would think, would that be all dice pools, or would it be like specific to strength and dex?
I would put it as, keep it as force related. It's designed to hunt Jedi, therefore I think its abilities would have been created just for the specific purpose of neutralizing force abilities so that, kill and eat.
Well, it already has. I mean, its hide is already resistant to force powers and stuff of that nature. So, I mean,
That's just against a force usage directly targeting it. I could just as easily use the force to grab up the environment and throw it at this creature.
I don't know. I think we have a thing here. We're both thinking of it in different ways. I can see it either or, but in that case, yeah. I don't know. Make it like have a negative to like all its, all the person's force skills, like minus or half force skill rounded down.
Mm-hmm.
So they get stuck with the venom instead of running around with a 5D. Now they're running around with a 2D.
Mm-hmm.
Or a 3D. You always want to round in favor of the characters in Star Wars. It'd be like a 3D.
You round in favor of the characters.
Yeah, says Daniel.
I am Darth GM.
Yeah, feel my power. All right, what else we got? Roger Nichols and the G Plus community had asked for a character sheet with all the skills listed.
To add in all the skills added over the time of this system, plus your fan-made skills, that would just make for a very cluttered character sheet, in my opinion.
I agree. I think he was looking more, because I think his original post had stated that he was just getting back into Star Wars D6 after not having played it since like the 90s, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he was thinking more of just whatever were the basic ones in the book, in the main rule book. And I had pointed out to him, the only problem with that is if you listed every single skill, again, it would get cluttered, but you also need to leave additional room for people when they do specializations. I went ahead and posted a one-sheet G Plus document that did actually take all of the skills from the main book, as well as left 4 places open for specializations for each attribute. Actually got it down to 1 page, and I'm trying to think, somebody else had posted one of their 3-sheet character sheets. I can't remember who that was. And there's also someone that I think we mentioned this last week had posted a 2nd edition character sheet up on the Rancor Pits that was form fillable, but didn't actually list all of the skills.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I think a way to do it would be, for the sake of space and keeping it neat, would be to use drop-down boxes. But I'm not that hot at that kind of thing yet.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know, maybe I'll put this in.
I program? No, I don't program.
I do programming. Programming is good. Let's see, Roger also had an additional post this week, which was awesome because he just joined. And so he's already had a number of posts, and we love that. He had asked if there were D6 conversions for the Clone Wars Old Republic for the campaign that he's planning on using. What there was out there. I quickly pointed him towards the D6 conversion of the Saga books. I went back and took a look at them, and they have, as always, they have really good conversions in them. But I had actually changed my response to him. I said, yeah, you might want to go look for these books. If you can't find them, let me know. Additionally, just for the fluff and background, I had suggested to him just to go off and read the fluff from the Saga books if he could find them. Because even though I don't like the system, fluff is actually quite good and has some good ideas in it.
I agree with that. I happen to have the Coruscant and the Core Worlds book, and the fluff is very interesting. It gives me a lot of ideas for adventures.
Coruscant, center of the universe. If it didn't happen on Coruscant, it's not worth it.
Now we've reached the point of the show where Don and I have a little bit of discussion about some of the mechanics of the game. We call it Shatterpoints. First up is combined actions.
Yes, the rules as written suck.
Don't hold back. Tell them how you really feel.
Well, I think it doesn't work out very well just with a couple of people, and it certainly breaks down when you are trying to... Well, I mean, that's actually a different skill, the command skill, but it's actually part of combined actions. Let me start off with, just a brief idea of how it works. The person that's got the best skill, all right, has a bunch of people that are trying to help him. The total number of people that can be used combined for an action is equal to the person's perception or the number of dice they have in command. Now, here's the rub. Each one of those people, no matter how skilled they are, only give a +1 pip for each person. Therefore, effectively, 3 people are required to give a +1d bonus when helping on a project. First of all, I don't think that is enough of a bonus. And I understand, people are like, well, it quickly breaks down, blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what? You got people running around with 60 and 70 in skills, so hush up. The fix that I came up with, I think actually is an old first edition mechanic, that if the person makes their command roll and people are being able to be utilized well, that instead of giving a +1 pip per person, what happens is that for every full die, the person the person that's assisting has in the skill or the attribute, that becomes a +1 pip advantage. So, for example, say that there's 2 people that are programming, computer programming, and the first person has a 4D skill, and the other person has a 3D +2 skill. All right. What would happen is you would drop those pips and just give a +3 bonus to the other guy. So he would roll 4D +3 instead of 4D +1. And I think that's how I would handle it, or how I would fix it. I don't know, Daniel. I mean, I think it's quick, it's easy.
I like how you've applied the method because it's necessary. There is a lot of holes in that mechanic itself. Why would you use a combined action?
And get a whopping +1 pip.
For the effort, it does not show the return.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree that there should be some bonus involved in there with using the command as well as the skill of those helping.
Well, the other thing about command skill that just kind of falls apart is that most squads are like 10 to 15 people, I do believe.
Mm-hmm.
So are you telling me that every squad leader, every sergeant has a 10 to 15D in their command so that they can properly, get these people to work effectively as a unit?
No, that doesn't make sense whatsoever.
No, it does not. So I am wondering if really what it comes down to is if you were to take and either double or triple the number of people that you could command. So, for example, if you were to go off and say that they had a skill of 1D to 3D, that'd be the total number of people they could command. Say 4D to 8D, double it from 9D to 12. That still doesn't work very well. I'm not sure. I'm interested in hearing what other people have to say about it. I think you should double or triple the amount of your command dice for the total number of people.
Yeah, I think that's about right, too.
Well, there you go. Another answer. A win for shooting Womp Rats. A couple weeks ago, there was a discussion going around about slapping capital scale weapons on freighters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I ever really continued to watch the thread because after a point, it just seemed to be so munchkin to me.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, it's a huge freaking weapon, and you're throwing it on a sailboat, essentially. Now, I mean, there are times in which you probably could maybe add a capital ship weapon to a ship. Like, for example, if you had like an oil tanker and you're trying to throw a really big gun on it, you could feasibly do that. I mean, it's not very effective, and the ship itself is not designed to take the impact of shooting that sort of a weapon, so there's got to be a whole lot of reinforcements and stuff. And I don't know, people were talking about, well, you just take up additional crew space or cargo space, and you reinforce this and you reinforce that, and it's still, I mean, you're still trying to put a 50 millimeter machine gun on a Hyundai. It just, I don't know. I understand why people are doing it, but I mean, then the discussion broke down, what about, the different types of scales and stuff like that. And it just really, to me, broke down to a munchkin discussion.
I have to agree there. There's power requirements, there's size, there's legality.
Yeah, I mean, you can hide some surface-mounted weapons on your freighter. You're not hiding a turbo laser. Just not happening. So, I mean, yeah, there's a bunch of logistical reasons why not to allow it. I guess if you wanted to make, like it was central to a story you were telling, I think I might allow something like that, just, from that aspect. But as for something that's just sort of a long-term sustainable thing in a game, I just think it's more of a one-shot, one-off kind of thing. For example, say your adventure culminates in a huge space battle between, some invading force or, very well-supplied pirates are giving this planet a bad time or an outpost a bad time. Well, all the merchants and the people that do trading there all band together and slap on some additional big weapons onto their small freighters and stuff like that to, bring up or give a surprise to the pirates. Something like that. I think I would allow just, from a story end of things to kind of make something cool. But as for, like I said, long-term, sustainable, rules from one adventure to another no. I'm not sure. Did I mention no? No.
No.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't say it enough. No.
I would have to practice it. No.
Hey, what about blaster gas and ammo packs? Do you ever even mess with that in your games? Because I don't.
I tend to, because it may be a bit crunchy to people, but I like in the middle of a fight, someone fires that last bolt, and then I'm gonna roll to shoot him. Roll, and then all you hear from me is click.
Or you're better at flashes, but nothing comes out.
Yes, or a little flag with bang.
Yes. Blaster packs and ammo, I don't really put a whole lot of time and energy into it. I just kind of automatically tell my characters that I'm not going to keep track of their shots and stuff like that. And so for me, I only have something like that happen, like if they get like a complication, I'll say, oh, well, your gas cartridge is empty. You didn't fill it. Or, you had fewer blasts left in your pack than you thought. Stuff of that nature. But I don't actually really keep track of all that stuff. And I mean, I like the idea of explaining that, you guys have a gas cartridge that is used with your blaster, stuff like that. Just kind of give flavor and understanding of Star Wars universe and how blasters and stuff work. But I mean, from a mechanical point of it, I don't really do much with it.
Okay.
And something that came up in a discussion last week, and I was talking with another game master, was allowing characters opposed interpersonal skill checks, like con and bargain and persuasion, that sort of stuff. Do you allow in your games, Daniel, characters to use their skills on each other?
I've been on both sides of it. Luckily, I haven't had a group that would really be using skills against one another. They prefer to work together. I'm not Don. I don't like to toot my own horn, but I kind of find that to be a testament of my GM skills when I can get a disparate group of people who have never met one another before and get them to work together like that without any sort of real conflict. However, I have had, as a player, my very first session ever played of this game, one of the people in the group was a Jedi, and I was an undercover Imperial officer. And the Jedi metagamed and used a force skill to make me act and say things that my character would normally not say. I failed my willpower roll and had to act it out. It's a good thing, it's a bad thing. You can use it to your abilities to have your characters meet. Gambling competition. Have them use the gamble skill against one another. Even throw some Sabbat cards into the deal. It can easily derail your session and turn your players against one another. If you can control it, go for it. If you feel that it's going to get out of hand, don't even try it.
Actually, I'm sort of of the opinion that I allow it with my players because, number one, not all characters have the same goals or same backgrounds or personalities or foibles as other people. They may have ulterior goals and stuff of that nature. The other reason that I allow it is that a lot of times people do not play their attributes. Like, for example, if they've got a character that's got a 2D knowledge or a 2D perception or something like that, they still play it as though their character is them, an extension of their attributes and abilities and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And so I personally look at it as a way that sort of balances the use of attributes in the game. And so I allow it as long as it doesn't get silly. I mean, if it makes sense to the story, the personality, the goals and backgrounds of the characters involved, I allow it. And I look at it more as a role-playing opportunity for the players than, somebody is metagaming or making my character do something I don't want to do. Well, tough. I mean, if the person's got a 5D con and your character has no willpower and is running around with a 2D knowledge, well, whether it's him or it's an NPC or, a major NPC or something like that, if that skill is used on you and you fail, you have to roll with it. That's the idea of role-playing, R-O-L-E, role-playing.
That's right. It's not just sitting back and rolling a die.
Exactly. So, I mean, with me, I allow players to use their interpersonal skills on each other. Personal view on that.
Well, that's it for this episode of Shooting Womp Rats. If you've got any questions, any comments, most importantly, if you've got any adventures, stats, characters, NPCs, anything you want to share with us, you can reach us all over the place. SWD6 Podcast on Twitter, Shooting Womp Rats, Shooting WOMP Rats at gmail.com. We're on the Rancor Pit and RPG.net as Shooting Womp Rats, all one word. Also, you can find Don or myself on Google Plus or Facebook. So on behalf of Shooting Womp Rats, I'm Daniel.
I'm Don.
And may the Force be with you.
Hey guys, have a great weekend. Be good to your family, pet the dog, pet the cat. Have a good time. Be safe. Bye-bye.